Welcome back to Sports Talk ATL. I am Chase Earl, joined by Jake Gordon and Alex Lord. Falcons lose to the Titans. We talked about Desmond Ridder. We talked about Taylor Heineke. That's going to be something we talk about for the entire season. I want to talk about Arthur Smith here, though, because we got Arthur Smith, who's just kind of up there. He never gives you good answers. He kind of comes off as a real jerk on the mic, and that's fine when you're winning games. But when you have accomplished absolutely nothing in this league as a head coach, and people are coming up with legitimate questions like these guys. Like, listen, you can bash the media and everything, but they have a job to do, and their job is to question some of your decisions, and especially when your decisions are questionable. Like, that is their job. They're doing your job, and you are treating them like an absolute jerk on the podium, like you are so high and mighty, and this isn't fantasy football, and Desmond Ridder, why are you even questioning whether Desmond Ridder's the starter? That's what's coming this week. I'm telling you, that's what's coming. We're going to get these, and I hope to God it isn't, but everything we've seen from Arthur Smith, we're going to be like, oh, you think you should be questioning me? You think you can run the team better? And there's probably going to be people that should bite back and just be like, yeah, I actually do think I could. And obviously you couldn't, but you're not doing a good job. We're not even much different than we were last year. We're four.
The fact of the matter is this team, Arthur Blank, spent upwards of $200-300 million this offseason, and we are in the exact same place as we were through 8 games last year, 4-4. After all that investment, are we even a better team after all that investment?
I would say we are, but not much better. And I don't think we expected these crazy jumps with Desmond Ridder at quarterback. But at the same time, you got to start seeing results. And this team has to make the playoffs. And if they don't make the playoffs and you let Desmond Ridder stink up this whole entire season, that's partly on the head coach, especially if we find out at the end of all of this, oh, he's not the guy. Well, it's you're the head coach. You watched him in practice. You've watched him 10 times more than we have. You couldn't have made this evaluation a little bit earlier when we still could have won. I mean, it's this is your job, and these are questions that deserve to be asked, and you need to be giving them legitimate answers. And if you're not giving them legitimate answers, you just come off as a jerk, you don't know what you're doing. So at least give us the explanation of why you're doing this and why we think we know. We talked about why. It's hey, we got to focus on the future too. At least give us those explanations, because if you're not giving those, you just come off as a jerk that doesn't know any better than we do.
Yeah, I agree. The shtick is very, very old at this point. And at a certain point too, we talk about probably the team that's probably going to get fined for not designated injuries. I just don't understand. What do you think you're doing? You think you're being mysterious and have some tactical advantage, because you just kind of sound like a clown right now.
I think that it's a very fair question to wonder, what is the state? What is the direction of this team? Because it feels very every offseason. Listen, Grady Jarrett's on the wrong side of 30. David Onyemata's on the wrong side of 30. We're starting to waste these rookie contracts. Kyle Pitts' contract is coming to an end. We're going to have to pay him. This is the time to kind of start going for it. And it feels like we're wasting time. The draft picks haven't panned out. The free agency has gone much better than expected. I'll say that. Everything on the pro personnel side of things has been a grand slam. They've rarely missed in that facet. But the draft picks is how you sustain success. And there has not been much success there. I don't know what the direction of the team is. We got Kyle Pitts, Drake London, and Bijan Robinson every single week. People, not just Falcons fans, people all over the country are thinking, isn't that guy a top 10 pick? Why aren't we using him? I'll just bring it back to one thing, one play in particular. This is such a head-scratching decision. Titans turn the ball over, gift the Falcons a fumble inside the red zone. Maybe it was just outside the red zone, but they had one play. They were inside the red zone. Arthur Smith decides to do a toss to Jonnu Smith, a tight end to tight end pass. Hang on. And I will defend him for a second, and then I'm going to bash him. Jonnu Smith has taken carries out of the backfield. He did it in Tennessee. He's done it here in Atlanta. So that's not just the first time he's ever done it. But you got Bijan Robinson, who is much more believable in that spot, would bring down a safety because he's threatened with his feet. Bijan Robinson's probably the best athlete on the field. You're telling me that he can't throw that ball? He could probably throw the ball better than Desmond Ridder in some cases. And you got Jonnu Smith back there in a tight end to tight end pass. This is crazy. That's the kind of stuff where it's you think you're so smart? He's like an idiot savant sometimes, where he does great things and then he tries to outsmart himself, and it usually happens in the red zone, which is the worst place to do it. I think the Arthur Smith shtick has run dry, but There's been no progression. What's our identity? It used to be running the football, smash mouth football. Now it's not really that. Our identity is get to the red zone, turn the ball over. That's what it is. The direction and identity of this team is lost.
Well, speaking more about Arthur Smith, I mean, and you're talking about these top 10 draft picks, and like the Drake London and Kyle Pitts usage thing, you could kind of chalk up to the fact that we don't have a quarterback to get them the ball and stuff like that, and you don't trust them enough to get them the ball. But I'm watching Bijan Robinson, who we all think is the best player on both sides of the field, probably more often than not, at least most talented, most athletic, whatever you want to say. And he's out there like Bucks game aside, most of the time he's like it seems like he's on the field half the game. Maybe he's getting 70% of the snaps, but he's getting half the carries. He's getting kind of targeted out there, but he's not really used as a weapon in the passing game. It's just like, you drafted this guy 8th overall, and now I'm even questioning how much you're using him. I mean, what do you have, 12 carries yesterday? And I know that they struggled running the ball in the first half, but, I think he had 12 carries for 60 yards. Like, well, how does he have 12 carries, like, for 60 yards? Like, he's averaging 5 yards per carry. He's averaging like 5 yards per carry for the season, yet he only has 450 yards rushing. He only has 90 carries through 8 weeks in the season or something like that. Like, what are we doing here? Like, that's unexcusable. Like, I'm sorry. Like, are we? And then he's like, it's almost like, well, we got to keep him healthy for the whole season. The week 17 is not going to matter if we don't start winning games now. Like, I'm sorry.
I gotta say, I really have to applaud him. He has managed to make Bijan Robinson boring. Do you know how hard that is? That's almost impossible.
I mean, I'm watching on the other side. I know Bijan Robinson isn't Derrick Henry, but the guy gets 25 carries, and that's kind of I'm not expecting him to get 25 carries every single week, but like, as he had, like, I think he's had 1 week with more than 20 carries. Like,
it's not just about carries. We could just break it down to touches. He should get 20 touches a game, no matter what. 20 touches. I don't care if it's 10 receptions, 10 carries. 20
look at what the Giants did with Saquon Barkley yesterday. And I know that's such a weird scenario, but they literally let him run the ball 40 times. And that guy's like torn his ACL 3 times. Like, dude, like, let the rookie running back who is fresh-legged get the ball time and time again. I don't care how you get it the ball.
I just don't understand drafting these guys and just not using them. Like, I'm sorry. I know it sounds like such a stupid, like, brain-dead thing to say, but it's not.
To Chase's point, like, if we had a quarterback who could get Kyle Pitts and Drake London the ball, those picks would look a lot sexier. But the fact of the matter is that is still on Arthur Smith. Arthur Smith is the sign-off guy who plays quarterback. It's that simple. So, yes, the quarterback could be attributed to the issue of not getting the ball, but that once again falls back on Arthur Smith. It all falls back on Arthur Smith.
Well, and now I would argue that we know, as we talked about in the last, that we do have a quarterback that can get him the ball. Now, we know Heineke might be a little bit of a gunslinger, might turn the ball over, but will he turn the ball over more than Desmond Ridder? I can almost guarantee you that's
13 times in 8 games.
Yeah,
no,
I can almost guarantee you he's not going to turn over the ball that much. And we know that he can actually get these guys the ball. Like, that's why I said, you opened up Pandora's box. This is a worst case scenario for Arthur Smith and his stupid little shtick, because the cat's out of the bag. We all know that we have a better quarterback, that they can get these playmakers the ball, that can open up the running game, that will avoid taking sacks like Desmond Ridder, that will turn the ball over less, and will help you win games. So if you continue with Desmond Ridder, you better know that he is the guy. You better know that by week 15, week 16, everybody's sitting here and saying, oh, Desmond Ridder is the quarterback of the future. Because wasting the season is fine. Wasting the season for a quarterback that isn't going to be your guy in the future is unacceptable. I think that's what we have to, that is really what you have to decide. And if you make the wrong decision here, the shtick shold, we're not going anywhere. You're wasting good years of our defense and our young players. What have you done? And this is where Arthur Blank, I really question him as an owner. And if you follow this show and you follow me on Twitter or whatever, you know I'm not the biggest Arthur Blank fan. He's way too lovable to his little, like, to Dan Quinn. Like, he should have fired him 2 years earlier. He's way too lovable to the players, giving them big contracts when they shouldn't be getting those things. Like, it's cost the Falcons in the past. And this is a decision where if the things keep trending in this direction, like, Arthur Smith needs to seriously be on the hot seat. And the problem is I don't think they have an owner that actually will fire their coach.
Yeah, no, and last thing I want to say about this too is, like, if Ryan Nielsen starts getting head coaching, like, I don't want another Shanahan Quinn situation. Take this guy out to pasture and just let Ryan Nielsen be the head coach. Like, seriously.
I've been saying that, actually, but I mean, it sounds stupid, but like he didn't have a great game. He didn't have a great game yesterday, but listen, like, one bad game.
He's been the best part
of the
of
offense is like 9 straight bad games. We can do that. Coming up after the break, we're going to talk injuries. They have a huge one, devastating one to Grady Jarrett. We're going to talk that. Also, Drake London, groin deal. We'll talk about it.